So, we're back with a new video with the GT86. Obviously, as you can saw from my video on Instagram, doing the quote-unquote drift. Obviously, you can see that we stripped it down pretty much to a bare shell now. There's a few little bits we've got to do to it. So I'll basically just take you guys around the car and I'll sort of show you what we've done and what we're going to do in the future kind of thing. So, I'm just going to flip you guys around. Obviously, as you can see, engine bay is out completely. It's a lot wider than the 350 was, so it's going to be a lot easier, a lot more room for the obviously the 2J to go in from the 350, because obviously the 350 had quite narrow chassis legs. So basically, it was just tight getting like oil filters and everything on and whatnot. As you can see, it's not rusted that we can see anywhere really. There might be the odd little bit of rust somewhere, but it's a lot less rusty than the 350 was, so it's a lot better. Obviously, it was an auto at first. It doesn't have the cut out for obviously the pedal, clutch pedal. So we're going to be running a bias pedal box in it from I think from Tilton or wherever. We'll end up getting them. Obviously, a lot wider. I'm not sure we're going to have to chop this out here yet or not. Obviously, I was probably modify the subframe to make the obviously the sump on the 2J fit, and obviously relocate the rack for the Y swap to fit on. Obviously, as you can see underneath the arches as well, there's a little bit of underseal, but not too much compared to what the 350 is. Obviously, you can see there's a few little bits out of it now. But yeah, it's pretty much all empty. As you can see, all these bits that are all marked up, or all the bits are getting cut off. So all the bits that are all marked up and all got the little crosses and like little brackets got to take off. Obviously, there's stuff like the seam sealer as well, a little bit of the sound deadening here, and some foam sound deadening in the back as well. Is all getting cut out. We're still going to be running the Elite transmission, so obviously that's going to go in the gear tunnel. We'd have to obviously measure it up and obviously if it's going to fit or not, because it is quite a narrow gear tunnel. You can't really see from this angle, but it's quite a narrow gear tunnel, so it might be tight to squeeze, so we might have to modify the gear tunnel to make it fit. So yeah, it's coming along nicely, but yeah, compared to the 350, it's a lot less, I should say, rusty. It's nowhere near as much rust, and thank the Lord that there is literally barely any sound deadening on the car. Obviously the underside as well, there's no sound deadening. So basically just taking through the back. What we're probably going to do here now, obviously this is where the old fuel tank used to sit, so it used to go under here, over the top and then back down, like over the prop. So basically we're going to probably be putting a fuel cell here with the swirl pot installed already, and sink that down into as low down as possible, sort of counterbalance the weight of me being the driver. Obviously we're running like the NASCAR door bars as well for the doors. Obviously the new regulations for DMEC and BDC they want in the future. Obviously in the back hall, this is going to be getting chopped off, probably all around here. Up towards the doors. There is on the inside, if I can show you from here, quite big triangle bits, so as soon as we cut the outer quarter off we're going to have to seal that probably with a bit of aluminium. Doors are quite heavy, so we're debating whether to stick with steel doors or go for some fiberglass doors, but that's something else that we're going to decide. We did weigh up on a carbon roof skim, but I think we're going to use this as it's not really too heavy considering what you save and the money you spend on a carbon roof. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty savage build. Obviously we're running the winter's diff as well, so around here obviously all this is going to get chopped out. I think it's going to get chopped out to the seam around here, so when we do chop it out we can raise the boot floor level slightly so it can fit the winters in, and obviously we have the rear mounted rad as well, and obviously the bash bar on the back to support the bumper, and obviously when we run walls. But the overhang on the back is a little bit less than 350, so I'm going to watch myself with the wall runs. And obviously underneath the rear arch as well is barely any, if not barely, like marginal amounts of underseal, which is a lot better for me. And then on the underside of the car, there's barely any underseal as well. There's seam seal, but I think we're going to keep that on because you don't normally see the underside of the car, so keep it in, keep as much it's sealed as much as possible to obviously make sure there's no issues. And then for the rear quarters, we're working up an agreement with LW Performance over in, I think it's Lithuania. I'm running the the wide body kit that they're supplying us. Carbon Kevlar, rear bumpers, rear fenders, front bumper, and also fiberglass bonnet. We was debating whether to go Kevlar on the bonnet, but we thought it's not something that we normally damage. Windscreen's going to get taken out as well, and that's going to get replaced with a heated one. We got one of them installed in the 350, and we've done a couple of wet days, and that was an issue with the screen missing up, so that is definitely the future. Working towards the back, we're probably going to put a firewall inside. We're debating, because this is quite a flush seam here, we're probably going to either back it onto this seam here and have the roll cage cross set further back. But obviously it's stuff that we're going to look into the design of, and also when it's all done it'll be clean. There is a big section here as well that we're going to pretty much just chop out up to sort this point, so all this will be going. Obviously probably not much weight in with how thin the metalwork is, but you probably put more weight back in doing the bash bar at the back. It's one of those. Obviously rear quarters are bent here from obviously impacted it had on the road. But obviously they're all getting replaced anyway, so that's not much of an issue. But the amount of weight that we've managed to take out of it just stripping the car down is quite mental. I think we saved probably more weight coming out of this car than there was coming out of the 350, just with this sheer amount of wiring that was in it. Obviously maybe sound on in the 350 was a bit more, but yeah, the car is pretty much fully stripped. We did it in about a day or two. Obviously the doors are going to get fully stripped out as well, but that's probably the last thing. So probably be taking these off now, because we've got a big shipping container to put everything in. But yeah, it's going to be probably, with the way work is at the moment, a bit quieter. We might get more time to spend on this, so it's probably end up going to be in end of the year, might be ready. So hopefully it'll be ready by the end of the year and I can get my hands on it. But yeah, it's pretty good. And also another thing to mention, we're probably going to run the intercooler mounted to these points down here, so it'll just slot in there and run at a slight angle at the front, and then we're going to duct it as well. And we're debating obviously the rear end with a rad is whether to have it vertical or have it flat to the floor, pulling up the air from the floor. But again, it's another thing that we've got to look into the design process. But yeah, she's stripped, she's ready to start getting some work done on the shell, just taking all the brackets off and obviously cutting what we're off that we don't need. Obviously on the front end as well, these little tube sections need to get removed as well. So yeah, she's on her way quickly now. We've got the room now to get rid of everything stripped, but yeah, it's pretty much completely bare now. A little bit more to do chopping wise, but yeah, the car looks bare, but I'm sure when it's done it's going to look phenomenal. So yeah, we're looking forward to the progress with the car, and we'll keep you guys updated. So we'll catch you in the next vlog of the build of the car.